what would you do first if you had unlimited money or infinite strength or maybe like superpowers and someone says, all right, go do something awesome? What would you do first? I know LeBron James, when he got his first big paycheck, first thing he spent it on, tickets to ride roller coasters. I know when me and Catherine got married, first thing I wanted to do was kiss her face. So I did, and it was awesome. Jesus did something first when he started his ministry. And we have that in John chapter 2. What did Jesus, the infinite, eternal Son of God, do? First step to saving humanity. What did Jesus do in John chapter 2? Let's look at that together. Look, this is for the students at Bahama Baptist. I'm one of the pastors here. But this is also for anyone who's learning to read the scriptures and get to know what God is like. John chapter 2, we get a glimpse of what Jesus does first. On the third day, there was a wedding. Jesus goes to a wedding at Cana in Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. So Jesus shows up with his disciples, and then there's a problem. Verse 3, he shows up. Verse 3, there's a problem. What's the problem? When the wine ran out. Here's the wine jar. It's empty. The party is lame. I thought about that phrase, when the wine ran out. You know, the wine always runs out. Like whatever you thought was going to make the party awesome, whatever you thought was going to make life super satisfying, the wine always runs out. And I thought, what is that for you? Fill in the blank. What is it you thought was going to carry you guys? It was going to be amazing. It was never going to stop satisfying. But then it did. The wine ran out. So Mary comes to Jesus and they have this interesting conversation. What is that conversation all about? You can read that conversation where Jesus and Mary talk. She says, they have no wine. Jesus says, woman, what does that have to do with me? My hour has not yet come. I'm not going to try to explain all of that, but it's clear he's thinking about something that's coming in the future. He's like, my hour has not yet come. So even very beginning, even first thing, Jesus is thinking of something at the end. He's got his eyes on something coming in the future. Well, I don't think you should talk to your parents that way. It probably wouldn't go well if you said, woman, what does this have to do with me? Try it, see how that works. Bad idea. Mary doesn't seem super offended. His mother said to the servants, do whatever he tells you. Do whatever he tells you. I thought of that one as well. Am I willing to do whatever Jesus tells me? Like, I'm living life. I think things are going to work out. Suddenly, the wine runs out, or there's a big problem. I don't know what to do. Am I willing to do whatever he tells me? Do I see myself as a servant? Am I open to Jesus bossing me around? Am I open to him meeting my needs? Verse 6. Now there were 6 stone jars there for Jewish rites of purification, each holding 20 or 30 gallons. I did the math. That's maybe like 150, 180 gallons of water. You probably know the story. Jesus said, fill the jars with water, and they filled them to the brim. Okay, there's a lot of things that we know are right and good to do. But did we do them like the servants did? Like they did that, they filled them to the brim. Are we following the Lord half-hearted, wholehearted? This work was work they didn't understand. Are there some things that God has asked you to do, some responsibilities he has called you to carry right now, and you don't fully understand why? They probably didn't fully understand why they were filling water jars, but they filled them to the brim. I love that little detail. There's a lot of sections in the Bible without big details, but here we get that detail. It's pretty cool. Verse 8. And he said to them, now draw some out, take it to the master of the feast. So they took it, right? Again, he said do it. They did what he said. There's a huge blessing for these servants. It's a blessing that is way deeper than the blessing that's for everyone else. Pay attention. So they took it. And when the master of the feast tasted the wine, When the master of the feast tasted the water now become wine, did not know where it came from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew. You get that? See, everybody got the wine, this delicious new wine, miraculous wine. But the servants got the wine, and they knew where it came from, and they got to be part of bringing it about, though, of course, they had no miraculous power in themselves. It's amazing. So the master of the feast called the bridegroom and said, everyone serves the good wine first, when people have drunk freely, then the poor wine, but you kept the good wine until now. Now pay attention. This says something about God's nature. Why would this be the first sign? One of the reasons, I think, is showing what God is like, right? What are people like? People are all show, right? Here's the good wine. And then when you're sort of drunk, sort of buzzed, sort of spaced out, sort of not paying attention, then the quality goes down, right? This is the way TV shows are. I don't like it. Maybe the first season is amazing, and then the second season is okay, and then the third season is downright boring. But you keep watching because they've got you hooked. I don't like that. Once the show gets boring, I just cut it off. I'm like, you show me, you shot your shot. Season 1 was the best. Jesus is the opposite. The longer you stay with Jesus, the better it is. The more you understand, the sweeter it tastes. And anybody that thinks that following Jesus is going to always be a little bit boring is totally missing the very first miracle he did. He said, hey, you think you've got life? You think you know how to party? Jesus provides the best wine they'd ever tasted. He said, I've come that they may have life to the fullest, the most abundant life. You think you know what life is? Try talking to the person that invented life, that invented all the details. He's the one that invented taste buds and tickling and uproarious laughter till your sides ache. He's the one that invented sunrises, and he invented napping. What? He put a whole day out of a whole week for you to rest. This God understands life. So the moral of the story, it's not a moral. It's just the exciting reality in this passage to me is it shows me the nature of God, that he understands life to the fullest. He's the Lord of the wine, right? He's the pretty prince of parties. If you think you want to party, follow Jesus. Hang on for that ride. It says this is the first of the signs that Jesus did at Cana in Galilee and manifested his glory, and his disciples believed in him. Why does Jesus do miraculous signs? So that you might believe in him. Those who are already looking, those who are already serving, those servants behind the scenes, they got a front row seat and they believed. The disciples who had already chosen to follow to some extent, they got a front row seat, and even deeper, they believed in him. So what about you? What have you seen Jesus do? How is he working in your life? And do you believe in him?